Welcome back to the land of the free. Kopitiam Council, and this is the third episode that we're gonna have for this week. And for this episode, we are going to this country, right here. Which country is this?
That looks like the United States of America, an event this picture of an event that has captured a lot of people's attention across the world. The attempted assassination of presidential candidate, former President Donald Trump. This
Correct.
was quite a huge piece of news when it came out, wasn't it, Haffiz?
Indeed, even though America is no stranger to assassination or mall attacks like this, but to actually happen to one of the recent former president, it's I don't think we have it in the last 20, 30 years. So yeah, I think this is quite unprecedented in the last 3 decades, and the way it happened as well, sparked some more questions than answer actually. Like, was it staged? Was it was it actually happen? So there's a lot of questions arises from this issue.
Yeah, especially since this is happening during an election cycle, the election season. We expected to see the Americans going into the polls to decide who will be the next president, especially right after the assassination, the drop. Maybe we'll touch on that more later, but right after the assassination attempt, we saw that Democrat Party's candidate Joe Biden stepped down as presidential candidate in favor of his VP Kamala Harris. Very, very, very interesting intrigue that's happening with America. An assassination attempt. Democrats changing their presidential candidate right at this juncture, very critical juncture. But first, let's dive into the assassination, because this happened during a rally that Donald Trump was speaking at, and then right as he was in the middle of his speech, there was a sound of a gunshot that grazed his right ear, and then he felt that there was something happening. Then he heard more gunshots. Quickly, everyone ducked. Two people, I think, were caught. One person or two people were caught in the crossfire. Tragically, they lost their lives. And then he continued going on. All of his security personnel huddled over, and he continued to, as in Hafiz's picture, continued to be defiant and adamant, very charged emotionally. And I think that's going to be picture of the year for sure. Or even picture of the decade that will define a whole decade. So it's very, very huge, especially when you look at the details surrounding the assassination. The sniper, the gunman, wasn't exactly too far from where Trump was giving his speech, about 120 yards, not that far. And he was recorded by some people who were in attendance, who were shouting, "What's he doing with a gun?" And then he fired. And then, so it was very a huge event. At the same time, it highlights a huge compromise in the security personnel's ability to protect a public figure like this. And I think Congress had a hearing on the director for the people who are in charge of the security services. Had a huge grill. It was grilled in Congress in a congressional hearing, and was immediately asked to step down. So this is what do you think of this?
I would like to touch more on Donald Trump's reaction as someone that nearly killed. And his first reaction is to pump his fist in the air and shout, "Fight, fight, fight." I'm not so sure that's a real reaction from. I mean, you could have one of the badass people. I don't know who would you say, Conor McGregor. Let's say I don't know anyone else more badass than Conor McGregor. If someone attempt assassination on him, I think he will chicken out and try to hide as well. Don't you think? And this Donald Trump, almost 80-year-old, I think it's 78 now. His reaction was just he was brought down because the Secret Service was dragging him down to stay down in the recorded audio. And then when he was got up to try to bring to the spare, they call the car. That's what he was first reaction. I think that's what also prompted people that, hey, this is not organic. Like the way he reacted to it, it's not organic. maybe this is staged, but at least entertain the idea that it was staged. Like, would you trust someone to shoot you in
To
the head
shoot
and
you.
just telling the person to just, can you just miss by 1 centimeter, please? Yeah. So this must be the most accurate sharpshooter in the world to do this job. And Thomas Crook, by his name, Thomas Crook, is no this man. No sharpshooter. So I think this is something that arise also more questions than answers as we leading up to it. Like you mentioned, there's also footage of actually people recording the shooter to actually climbing up to the rooftop, and how Secret Service failed to react in time and prevented this to happen. It's remain a huge questions. But also that I want to say is that uh, how actually he benefited from this, because it was just, I think, in the same week as the Republican convention to pick their presidency candidate, and then this happened, and of course he gotta come in to the convention with his right ear plastered, and it's an obvious choice for the Republican to put him forward as the candidate, and of course he picked his running mate Vance to run with him. Since then, he got a lot of points in terms of exit poll of in survey that he maintained a lead in terms of Biden, but also by Kamala Harris. We will talk about Kamala Harris in a bit, but what I just want to say first here is that Donald Trump play his card real well. What happened, the incident after another. We know after the assassination, he confirmed his candidacy, and then now he has uh, a, an empty runway to just do his thing, campaigning now forward. While the Democrat was at that time was still deciding whether Biden should run or should not. But one of the factor that the Democrats doesn't want Biden to pull out is that's why it's very late that Biden actually quit the race, is that because of Kamala Harris is really one of the least popular VP in the last 20, 30 years, even lower than some of these Republican VP at the time. So Kamala Harris is at the time during the assassination attempt was I think around 15 points behind. But it's starting from just last week. She's catching up to the points and looking good for that. So I don't know if they can maintain this until November, or Trump just gonna make it even bigger gap as they go to campaign the whole country. What do you think, Andy?
Well, I mean, definitely he got a lot of public sympathy for what happened with the assassination attempt. But going back to when you called it whether or not it's an organic reaction or not, right? Normal people wouldn't be pumping their fists in the air. But let's remember, Donald Trump is not a regular person, not a regular persona or character. He's very. We have to give it to him. He is very charismatic. He is definitely plays by his own rules. So I guess that's the idea of being defiant in the face of struggle, or what kind of tragedy would always be for him natural to be like, say, "Oh, you miss me, I'm right here, come on, go ahead." That kind of very boisterous, very loud persona that he has cultivated when he ran for president in his last term. But going back also to the shooter here. Now the shooter it's a very odd situation because the shooter has donated to the Democrat Party for the Act Blue platform, but at the same time he was registered as a Republican. So, and it's according to the FBI, CIA, whether or not it is planted, these information or not, they're very good at that. They said that he is anti-Semite. He has posted very strong right-wing views. So a very enigmatic character. Whether or not he really did it out of a political ideology, whether he did it because it was to immortalize himself as someone as legendary as the JFK shooter. So it's very strange to see what's happening. But staged, I would find it very difficult to believe because they did simulate the shot that just as Trump turned, the gunman fired and that grazed here. If he did not turn his head, it would have blown right through his skull, clean. It was shot right through, and it would have killed him. So it really seems the chances were infinitesimally small, very rare occurrence that he would survive that under those circumstances. So, like you said, why would, if it was staged, would you be daring enough to ask, hey, can you shoot me at this right time and then take the fall, get killed by Secret Service members? That's a tall order to ask. Very, very particular. I think it's hard to believe that it is staged because of the consequences, the circumstances that surrounds this. But going to the elections here now that in the aftermath, and I don't know the motivation for Joe Biden dropping out, because I think this is the first time in American history that an incumbent president in his first term dropped out as presidential candidate. Maybe someone can fact check me on that, but I think this is the first time. So it's a historical situation here, and giving way to the VP. And like you said, the VP was quite popular, but at the same time, how many people were riding was by the ticket for Democrat victory was on the ticket that Biden would be the presidential candidate. Now, I would find difficult to find people who would choose Biden over Kamala Harris, but I'm sure there are some people who are preferable or have more affinity to choosing Biden compared to Kamala Harris, and to have that decision be taken away because you ran on that ticket, that presidential ticket, that you expect Biden to be the presidential candidate. Some, like the Republicans, have been in full force saying that this is undemocratic in the Democratic Party leadership here by forcing a dropout of an expected candidate in favor of his VP. So that would definitely be used as a talking point. Bad optics on the Democratic Party, and it would be used by the Republicans and other conservatives to pull the fence sitters here and there. Already, it's the momentum, I feel, for the Republicans are very strong, already galvanized by Trump's survival of an assassination attempt, and now they're going to say that, didn't the Democrats choose Biden as candidate? You all chose him. Now you're throwing it away. But this is democratic. Did the party decide on this? Did the people and supporters really want this? So it's going to be used against the Democrat Party moving forward.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, like the Democrats didn't want Biden to actually drop out from the race is because the natural replacement for him is Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris is one of the least popular VP. So in this logic, Democrats really didn't want and just push Biden all the way to stand against Donald Trump. But as we witnessed the debate the other day, where even Biden admitted that he did very terribly. So in this realization and the fact that I think after that there was confirmation by the medical team that he is no longer at his peak performance to run as a president, and then the assurance that I think from Kamala Harris that would he can inherit and gain actually supporters from actually two groups of people, those who are under 35 and those who are people of color. So with this, which is Biden are looking for, so she can make the ground on this two segments of voters. So that's, I think, what in the consideration for Biden to drop out from the race very late at this stage is, I think it was just 120 days from election. So now is less than 100 days. So Kamala Harris actually at disadvantage to start a campaign at this point. Now that Kamala Harris is almost very certain to be the candidate for Democrats, also like she's not very popular but try to catch up. As I mentioned also that even though Trump is leading, but I don't think he can be complacent because of one thing: Robert Kennedy Jr. So this person may split the vote for Trump and make Kamala Harris the winner. So he will be the losers in terms of if there's a split vote between him, Trump, and Robert Kennedy Jr. That's very unlikely, but it's American politics. It could well be happen as well. For Kamala Harris, I think in terms of as a personality, a public figure, she's very well known in California. She used to be a public prosecutor in California, where she put people in jail. A lot of people in jail due to usage of marijuana. So I think California and marijuana is very synonymous, and she is very famous for this. And in if Trump going against her in a debate, she will be obliterated like an egg fell into a floor because of this public records that she has. Trump will try to pick all her weakness points, and she is not a good debater either. So from what we have seen, she would be, if she were up against Trump just gonna win, outright win for this. What we can see also that Republican is ahead in terms of immigration. So Democratic still have like a headless chicken when it comes to immigrations, where the borders is some very porous in terms of during Biden's administration. So I think that's another questions that American voters can ask Kamala Harris. Are you going to tighten up the borders? If you can, what's your plan? So that's, I think, Kamala Harris team should work on. And for Donald Trump is that the Democrats here on advantage where this Gaza issue here with the people of color with towards have leaning towards Kamala Harris here due to she's the belong to Indian and as well as blacks community. So that's a very very powerful gene there. We have like very lucky what they call a lucky draw of life here, that you have a father of black origin and mother of Indian origin. So that's something great Kamala Harris has, but can she capitalize on it? I think that's remain to be seen in terms of more campaigns ahead.
Yeah, I think when it comes to, because definitely Kamala Harris is going to be playing into the whole identity politics segment, being a person of color, mixed heritage, and a woman at that as well. So she's going to definitely meet those quotas that a lot of people would find attractive. The same people that found Hillary Clinton attractive as a candidate, first female president potential, and then Kamala Harris then being a female VP. Those are things that were very attractive for a lot of Democrat voters. But of course, he's going to have a lot of a past catch up to her if there comes to be a debate on her career as a public prosecutor. There's people that have been condemning her, saying that during her tenure, she locked up more thousands of people of color for marijuana use and in jail sentences that are not fair or not even fair in terms of the crime that was committed. So that's going to be caught up to her, and she has been characterized as quite skittish and quick to capitulate in terms of pressure. She would laugh in the smallest things, and that's something that Trump would thrive on in a debate. He would pick on that. He would completely pick on that apart. Someone with Trump, you have to, I guess, in a debate, you have to keep your cool, be steeled in resolve, and not show any signs of like any kind of diminishment in your resolve there. So I think, like you said, I think Kamala Harris would have a lot going, would be up against an uphill battle in terms of debate with Trump, who would say anything and everything just to unhinge you just a bit, just to shake you up, keep you off balance. And we know what kind of character he is. He's very good at that. So that's going to be something. But I think a defining point for solidifying her as a solid democratic leader is that I think for a lot of people in America who are very pro-Palestine, pro-Gaza, and then against the genocide committed by Israel, a lot of them, I think, would lean more towards Democrats, have more democratic leanings, because the Republican Party has been very staunch in their support for Israel. What you see is what you get with them. For Democrats, it's become a guessing game. Are they really? Are they not? But they've shown that this and they've shown that not at the same time. So Kamala Harris has to weigh in on that, because this is the hot topic for a lot of America. We've seen a lot of student protests. We've seen a lot of people gather in support for Palestine. So this is something that would have to be addressed. Donald Trump has already iterated his stance on it. He is very much pro-Israel in the sense that he wants it done quickly. He wants it done fast. So we know what is to be expected if Trump is to be elected. What you see is what you get with the Republicans and with Donald Trump. The Democrats, with Kamala Harris, she would have to find a realignment in terms of foreign policy in this regard. But then again, she has been historically found herself to be a Zionist. Her husband also is a Zionist in the Zionist lobbies. So Americans who support Palestine, you have to make a decision here, and you have to make an influence on this Kamala Harris. So very difficult decision to come ahead. Would it be on the same level of divisiveness as the 2016 elections between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump? We would see in the next few hundred days. But if that is the case, I think the Republicans, in a way, because this is quite unexpected, to be honest, with Kamala Harris coming as the presidential candidate. If that was the case, Vivek Ramaswamy should have been more involved, should have been selected to be more involved in the Republican Party, being Indian, who is self-made.
Indians against Indians.
Yeah, in a way, Vivek Ramaswamy is very self-made. He's that model minority, from rags. Let's say rags. In a way, immigrant to riches kind of success story. So that would have helped draw in terms of counterbalancing that identity politics game, because let's not beat around the bush. They will play that. The Democrat Party will play that. And I think that is the strength of Kamala Harris moving into this election.
Yeah, I mean, what I also want to talk about is that, let's say, I'm not so sure about Kamala Harris' impact on Malaysia if she wins as president and create history as the first woman to become U.S. president. But for Donald Trump, is because he was president before. So one thing, and also that he mentioned that there will be a universal tariff, 10% on all the imports from other countries. So Malaysia, I just want to bring this back to home. Malaysia is one of those countries, in fact, in terms of semiconductors and chip, we are in the top 10s of exporting these goods. So we will be affected as well in terms of how are we going to export our goods to America if we have that 10% tariff on top. Of course, it's not as bad as China, where they have, I think, 50, 60, 70% of tariff. That would be ridiculous if it happened to Malaysia. But even 10% would be a huge difference between, we exporting them to US or to other countries or European Union, or they can just go to Taiwan, or for that matter, or other country that actually fighting for the market share of these electric goods, mainly chips and semiconductors. So in terms of Malaysia, as well as how much we spend on the Madani government spend on planning a lot of development in terms of research as well, billions of ringgits into to embolden our chip industry in Malaysia, and also that how we double down on data center as well. So all these are clients based on in United States. So if Trump's really gonna impose that universal tariff 10% on top of what already being put on, it's gonna be at least from the community business community, it will be a nightmare if Trump is elected to power. So I think that's it for US episode that we have today. Of course, this is a topic that's still ongoing. We're gonna revisit this, of course, one day. But in next episode, we may have a guest. So I don't know how you wanna know. Just a subscribe button on your YouTube if you're listening this, watching this on YouTube, and you can follow this on Spotify if you are listening this on Spotify. So your comments, your likes, your share to your families is much appreciated by Adi and I, and we always strive to put the best information that we have. Of course, there's some errors maybe in what we say, what not, typo, all this kind of stuff, but I think that's normal, right? This is a podcast anyway. We don't claim as that we are an arm of Bloomberg or Reuters, so so we always try to be transparent with our sources. We mention if we can. So all these are from our readings, and we try to be more bipartisan, impartial in terms of what we give to you. Yeah, maybe at certain episode we are sounds or seen very
But
one-sided.
at least we acknowledge if we're biased. We
Correct.
have to,
So
we
that's
acknowledge.
this is us saying that to you. If you are watching this until this very end, I'm sure you are very into Kopitiam Council idea, and you don't need to hear this. But if you are just watching this for 5 seconds and already writing some nasty comment in down below, hey, we still welcome that, because that's what help us in terms of the algorithm. Don't you think, agree, Adi?
No, definitely. So I mean, any kind of comment, we appreciate it. We read all the comments that we can, just to get a bit more feedback and to see that how we're going as a podcast. This is just two guys yapping into a mic in front of a camera, just giving our opinions on current affairs, because we like reading on current affairs. We love current issues, both at home and abroad, and it's stuff that you would talk to your friends who are very interested. So this is just a reflection of that, me and Haffisz. So yeah, I say thank you everyone for another episode of Kopitiam Council. Definitely more topics to be covered, and I think just for the sake of formality, I just want to wish Malaysian team at the Paris Olympics, but I'm myself not really interested in the Olympics because I find it to be a bit of a sham, especially this year. I'll reserve my opinions why, but I wish our Malaysian team all the best nonetheless.
Yes, Malaysia boleh, and that's it for this episode. Goodbye.